We're just in the middle of an interview right now.
I can give you the 10 minutes.
Right, so just to recap, I'm proposing we live in a Christian dictatorship, and you've expressed some concerns of the Christian leadership. Is that correct?
There are some concerns, yes. The fact that they haven't solved issues like abuse and what else?
Poverty.
Same-sex marriage. There's still a gulf with various churches, various faith groups.
And you've said just a moment ago that some of your religious leaders from the your Abrahamic faith, have, with one hand, said, "Oh, we're going to resolve the situation," and then their actions have been the very perversion of their earlier statement.
Yeah, of course, I agree.
And
I agree.
you agree with that?
I agree.
And can you give an example again, please?
I will say this. I mean, I don't mind this going out on film, but a few years ago I was in a Catholic school, staying in a Catholic school as a student, and I was a boarder there. I boarded because I lived quite far away, and I was sexually abused by another student. And so I told my parents. Parents were obviously angry and frustrated, and so they went to the school. The school was run by like a order of nuns, like a religious order, and they didn't do anything about it. They tried to cover it up. So I've had that problem. I live with it. You know, I don't mind talking about it. But that is an example of a failing of religious leaders in general in this country.
And this is just not a one-off case.
No?
There is historic abuses which happen in religious institutions when they're meant to be protecting and educating the young. There is a terrible amount of abuse.
No.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah. So there is terrible abuse. And because religious leaders have no interest in justice, they only have the interest in making sure that they're never seen as impure or as unholy. We have just been swamped. We've just been swamped. So yeah, so government and should be powerful enough to step in with religious institutions.
I think government should have a role. I think government should have a role to play in it. I think there are some improvements, not as many as I'd like.
Would you like to name some improvements you'd like to see?
Maybe some improvements to the is it called specific checks, disclosure and barring? Is it disclosure and barring service? I think it's called, where you have to specific checks on individuals, because I don't think some individuals are monitored in the way they should be. That's why you have all these outbreaks of various cases happen, and it's just not acceptable.
I think also it's very important to note here that the reason and one of the main reasons why the religious institutions can get away with it is because we don't have access to their documents. Any documents that the church has should be open access.
Yes.
All records should be open to the public. And with that, no crime can manifest to such a insidious degree. Crimes will always happen. This is inevitable. But carrying on the same abuse and crimes of other natures will end once and for all, once the church has to reveal all its documents. Would you agree with that as an assessment?
Yeah, no, I would. But what I would add is that I wouldn't put all the blame on the Church of England. I think the Catholic Church has a lot of questions to answer. I think the Church of England is making a bit of progress, but not as much as
It's insincere. The way you deal with the problem is instantly and at once. You don't wait 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. If you are sincere in your belief of what you're articulating, and you are of a leadership, of power, of influence, of a democracy, therefore the situation resolves not the next day, but possibly the day after that. Because, as I said, the one easy route, the way you resolve the situation overnight, is by having documents revealed. These documents should never be sealed, should never be hidden, and having an open society will be painful. Yes, it will be a bumpy road, but as long as all the people involved are being sincere in their actions, at least justice and resolving horrible abuses can for once and for all be dealt with.
I think I would point. I would point your view as to there's been a interesting. It's creepy but interesting program on the television, BBC iPlayer, called The Sixth Commandment, about the Maids Morton murders in Buckinghamshire, near where I live. And it was a case where a young chap who had just come out of, I think he'd come out of, he wanted to become ordained. So he approached, he studied at the University of Buckingham, approached one of the lecturers, and he killed, basically, not directly, but he killed this lecturer by, putting things in his cup of tea, like tablet stuff that killed him. And I just say, watch the. It's called The Sixth Commandment. It goes into detail about a failing of the church, of the church safeguarding. Safeguarding is a big issue.
I would also propose here, this is epidemic in Abrahamic religions, and always this is not a recent phenomenon. I think a lot of religious people
goes back a long way.
It goes back hundreds of years.
Yes.
Because unfortunately there's this sort of malaise of thought that this is just a recent phenomenon because of modernism, because of the 60s. This is a gross lie. I believe that in the Abrahamic religions, the leadership are beyond the power of law, because they embody the law in their own rhetoric and own institutions, and therefore they can commit any crime and say we are part of God, and because of that we are no longer held to any laws of humanity. Do you believe that maybe we should have a human rights bill?
I think yes. I mean, we already have a human rights. We already have a Human Rights Act. Maybe it could be amended. I personally wouldn't mind to see an amended version or another version of it. But I think, the church. To be fair to the church, if you look at regardless of abuse, it is a problem. It is a big problem in the church. But in terms of getting more young people in, increasing attendance has actually gone up in quite a few churches. So that's a good thing to celebrate. But there is this issue of abuse, safeguarding. That's not that I do have a problem. That I do.
So let's round up here then. And I'll round up and you can think of a conclusion. So don't let other people abuse you mentally, physically, politically, because they are part of your same faith. Speaking up, standing up is never easy and is terrifying and is something that none of us want to do. But fundamentally, I can guarantee you this, that someone else is experiencing that crime right now. And so when we do stand up, we can stand up and help to resolve the horrors that some of these religious leaders are abusing your faith, your love, your relationship with God. And that is never a justification. And standing up and articulating to the world what you are, what you feel, and what happened to you is something extremely stoic, extremely beautiful, and also that person that is being abused right now will have a hero, someone to look up to and know there is a way out of this, and because a lot of people, some people, sorry, end up mentally
Some
ill.
people are scared and just don't want to just want to cover it up, which it's you should report it. You should, if you see any fail, if you see a failing of anything like this, then you should report it to someone you know, and then that can be changed. It's only by doing that that we can change change the law. We could change the law if enough people take this as a priority that the church should focus on.
Fantastic.
Should focus on.
Would you like a concluding statement, just in religion in general, or just a positive message to give to my viewers on any, just a positive message?
Just if you have a faith, if you have no faith, be kind to one another, be peaceful, I mean, we're at Speaker's Corner here. Speaker's Corner can be a place where there is violence, unfortunately, and there is disagreement. Disagreement is meted out in the form of violence. So I would encourage peace and this, kindness, and let's get on with each other. That's
and it's easy to say, but it's somewhat hard to learn.
regardless of your political belief, regardless of your religion, regardless of just have just respect one another, respect their views, and then we'll live in a better world if we all do that.
And I completely agree with that very beautiful statement. So thank you very much. What was your name again? Sorry.
Oliver.
Huh?
Oliver.
Oliver. My name's Gus. Thank you very much. That's been a very educational, rewarding, extremely brave video. Do you do a hug?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, thank you very much. That was very, very beautiful. Thank you.
No, thank you.